Welcome to Alaska Weather, a production of Alaska Public Media and the National Weather Service, Alaska Region. Produced and broadcast daily from the studios of KAKM, Alaska Weather provides complete forecasts, public, marine, and aviation for all of Alaska. Alaska Weather is made possible by the following sponsors.
It's never too early to set expectations and goals for your child's education. The UA College Savings Plan provides opportunities that can help you reach your educational savings goals. Save in Alaska. Study anywhere. There is more information available by calling 1-888, the number 4, and then Alaska. This message sponsored by the UA College Savings Plan.
The National Weather Service.
Hello again, and as always, thanks for tuning in to Monday's edition of Alaska Weather. On the charts here, we've got some red continuing out here over the west central part of the state. Down here, high wind warning continues out for this evening. Therefore, Bristol Bay, maybe up until 7, 8, or 9 p.m. or so, due to those winds continuing to gust over 75 miles an hour in areas there. And up here, these are the winter storm warnings out for the Yukon Delta, and then curving right back up into the Galena area, on out to the west there. Blowing snow expected to continue in these areas at least through tonight. And then these wind advisories here from the northern Kuskokwim Valley, McGrath, all the way over to the Alaska Ranger. Look for those winds, well, up to 55 miles an hour here until about 5 p.m. Tuesday along the eastern Alaska Range, and winds gusting as high as possibly 45 miles an hour here all the way back into the northern Kuskokwim Valley around the McGrath-Nikolai area. And winter storm warnings continue out here for the western Arctic coast through Tuesday, tomorrow, and also for the northwest coast here, Kotzebue Sound, all of the Seward Peninsula, and on up into the, well, over to the Selawik Valley and the Noatak valleys as well. And moving to satellite imagery here yesterday, we had big front coming northward, pushing inland by the afternoon hours, and something of a break farther to the north over the interior, and then some light snow falling over portions of the Arctic coast. And here was the main low center approaching the Alaska Peninsula, and the cold air back out here to the west continuing to come down and keep the Aleutians in the snow showers. Well, today we'll see a portion of this front actually breaking off, and the northern portion sliding across the southeast coast today. Only brought about 0.15 of an inch of rain there to Juneau. Southern area is a little wetter, hanging on to the rain longer, so a net picked up about 0.5 inch of rain. You can see it looks like breaking out here. Pretty dry up along the North Gulf Coast, although the moisture continuing to feed into the Prince William Sound areas. For rain today, Kodiak picking up about a little over an inch, 1.08 here, with that band of moisture right over them. That's the frontal boundary right through there, kind of pulling back up across the Alaska Peninsula, the low center in here, another one breaking off farther to the northwest. And that brought those pretty strong wind gusts into the area, with Cape Newinam seeing gusts to 65 miles an hour out of the southeast, about the same over at Koliganek there, northern Bristol Bay in that zone, and Sparavon, a little farther to the northwest, they had gusts to 75 miles an hour during the afternoon today, and then those winds come back around to the northwest as high as 50 miles an hour again here through the Bering Strait to St. Lawrence Island, Gamble, and then take a turn to the southeast across the Pribilofs with gale force winds there all the way down into the Alaska Peninsula. This band here, the leading edge of the cold air, and it's snow over in Unalaska, but still some rain along the Alaska Peninsula areas, and a lot of higher clouds over the central and eastern part of the state. Some banding of the moisture here, really weakening as those surges of clouds and snow come northward, but very light snow or flurries along these, with the heavier amounts down along the coast here in the form of rain. Rain across Bristol Bay, king salmon picking up about 0.15 of an inch, so nothing too terribly heavy. Heavier back along the southern slopes or the eastern slopes of the Aleutian Range, and of course Kodiak Island. Rain as far northwest as Holy Cross, with something of a wintry mix farther to the northwest beyond that. But temperatures along the southern coast of the Seward Peninsula in areas rising above freezing at times today, and that helps to reduce the blowing snow effect when it gets that warm and it starts to get a little stickier. Doesn't blow and reduce the visibility as well as it would, say, if it was a little farther to the north there where it's colder. Low pressure, 1 week low out here over the Aleutians. This is a stronger one coming across the Alaska Peninsula or over the Bering Sea. And then this weak trough bringing the rain in across the southeast coast. Forecast for tonight, that next system here pulls northwestward and weakens as it approaches, say the Barren Islands with that front. That'll bring another pickup in the winds here to the North Gulf Coast, probably bring them back up to gales. More rain coming northwestward with that system, but weakening as it comes northwest. Still some moisture working into the areas of the southeast coast for periods of light rain, fog, or drizzle at times, mostly over the or away from the southern areas there. Fair over the interior, but do have those higher elevation wind advisories going on, mainly through the passes of the Alaska Range. Dry conditions all the way up with good VFR into the Arctic Ocean there and the eastern Arctic coast, picking up some clouds over toward Barrow, which still should be VFR tonight. And you get into some lower stuff back here in the moisture there and the snow, and kind of mixture precipitation from rain, Kodiak Island, and then the colder air sliding in will begin to mix the rain with snow or just be snow showers back along the Alaska Peninsula. Snow showers for the Unalaska area. Snow, blowing snow up across St. Lawrence Island and those areas up to the northwest. Just some scattered snow showers, light winds here out over the Aleutians. In fact, pretty dry actually until you get out toward Shemya, and that low to the southwest may give some pretty good snow showers to that area at times. And that holds through tomorrow. Not a lot of change going on out over the southwest Bering or along the Aleutians. So we're looking at this low here south of St. Lawrence Island. Good westerly flow across the Bering Sea from about the Pribilofs northward. So several bands of showers will come on shore here the southwest coast. Snow levels lowering, front coming northeastward. So look for increasing chances of rain or snow here up Cook Inlet tomorrow into northern Cook Inlet. Tomorrow afternoon, better chance of seeing some rain and snow showers. Winds will be rather gusty in advance of this front, both overnight tonight and into tomorrow, and then drop off dramatically and should lose the turbulence and low-level wind shear that's been reported. That'll be tomorrow afternoon when this front finally pulls northward. The whole gradient will relax. North Gulf Coast, Prince William Sound, Kenai Peninsula again pretty wet, Seward over to Yakutat, and then on down the coastline. Fair over the interior, dry conditions, mild temperatures this time of year, and still pretty gusty winds here through the mountain passes, and snow and blowing snow up to the northwest. Forecast for Tuesday, the next big storm comes up from the south, and so by about midnight tomorrow night, should see the rain and wind begin to show up here along the Alaska Peninsula at the earliest, but by mid-morning on Wednesday, definitely this whole area will be back into it. Kodiak Island, more wind and rain, gale force winds, rain heavy at times. IFR advancing and moving northward to the North Gulf Coast with some gale force winds. And again, more rain sliding into the southeast coast. High pressure keeping it nice and dry up over the interior. Temperatures not all that low for this time of the year. A lot of breaks in the clouds, VFR over much of the area up there. And the Arctic coast, kind of vulnerable to the leftover moisture when that band shifts off to the north there, but much nicer, lighter winds, drier conditions there. Norton Sound, Seward Peninsula areas right down into St. Lawrence Island. So I have this narrow band of northerly winds keeping snow here on the western edge of this system, but rain in those southeast winds. Another big push of warm air coming northward here. It's going to keep all the cold air out over the Aleutians and the Bering Sea with snow showers. Temperatures this afternoon for the Panhandle, about like they've been running for the last several days, upper 30s to mid 40s, warmest down over the southern areas. Juneau had 37, there's a 46 at Cordova. Palmer, 32 degrees. Kenai up to 40 this afternoon, 49 at Homer, and Seward, one of the warmest locations in the state today, had 50 degrees, 42 down in Kodiak, 19 Talkeetna, 22 up there in the Copper River Basin at Gulkana. Tanana Valley, temperatures ranging mostly 15 to 20 here, 16 at Tanana, up to 25 over at, that was Delta Junction with the gusty east winds there, 42 at the Denali Park entrance there, and even Nenana was up into the 30s today, but 1 degree at Fort Yukon, 9 below Arctic Village, 9 above in Anatuvik. Up on the Arctic coast, about the same temperature-wise from what you saw yesterday up there in the minus teens below zero, but coming above zero over toward Point Hope and Cape Lisburne. In fact, quite a ways up to 12. Mid-20s, Kotzebue Sound, the Kobuk Valley, and 32 here at 4 p.m. at Nome. They were above freezing earlier. And again, a lot of 30s here over the southwest part of the state. Gusty winds, McGrath popped up to 41 degrees today, heading farther to the southwest, right around 30 here for the Pribilofs. Mid-30s along the coast, except Cape Newnham up to 38. Lower 40s here with the southeast winds. Let's see, that's Pilot Point on up to King Salmon. Upper 30s to lower 30s, getting into the colder air here behind the cold front there for the eastern Aleutians, down to 27 at Adak. And for the lows tonight, actually looks like they're going to come up a little bit, but still some areas on the north slope dropping into the minus 20s. Same thing over the Yukon Flats, but you can see much milder here back to the northwest and the west, and then cooling off again around St. Lawrence Island. Lower 20s for the Pribilofs, mid to upper 30s here for the southwest part of the state. Staying quite mild here and continued southerly wind flow. Upper 30s to lower 40s North Gulf Coast, and the Panhandle, and kind of a big variation here south of the Alaska Range and over the interior. 20s for the Aleutians. Highs for tomorrow, most everywhere trying to rise above zero, even out to the Arctic coast, but Barrow probably holding a little under that. Very mild conditions, mid-30s all the way up and almost across the Seward Peninsula tomorrow. Near 40 into the Kuskokwim Valley once again. Actually, south central Alaska here, near 40 degrees tomorrow. Mid-40s out along the coast. About like today here, Seward may reach 50 again, and mid to upper 40s for the Panhandle. Flying weather, IFR, Prince William Sound, again coming northward right up into the area there and along the coast, sliding into the northern Panhandle. VFR to the south. VFR here from the Alaska Range northward all the way to the Arctic coast again. As you head west, you'll get into a little bit lower stuff there with IFR along the southern coast of the Seward Peninsula through the strait and up along the Chukchi Sea. Not too bad though over the southern and southeast varying areas of VFR, and quite, in fact, widespread areas of VFR in Alaska. That'll be improving up the Alaska Peninsula there. Looking good for Kodiak, and for Anatuvik, pass-wise, VFR, either approach. Same forecast for Adigan. Lake Clark and Merrill, same pattern we've seen through the weekend. Lowest conditions at times, IFR will be found on the eastern approaches, better to the west. And for Rainy, that same pattern again tomorrow. Windy, VFR, Isabel, VFR, and Mentasta, all three passes VFR. IFR on the eastern side of Tanita, possible tomorrow, otherwise marginal to VFR in the western entrance. Portage, IFR, of course, lowest on the eastern entrance, or could be low IFR there. And for Chilkoot and White, marginal VFR to start with, gradually becoming IFR probably by the early afternoon. And freezing levels here, big push of warm air right up over the eastern interior, but that's sliding aloft there, 6,000 feet. The surface here a little bit to the south, kind of hit and miss here as far as who rises above freezing. And then 6,000 feet up along the southeast coast. You can see the colder air sliding in from Bristol Bay across Kodiak. That'll be coming northeastward across Cook Inlet, so it's going to increase the chances of rain and snow showers tomorrow afternoon, becoming snow showers, possibly some accumulation from Anchorage up the valley a little bit tomorrow evening for a short time. Otherwise, icing below 11,000 feet of the light to isolated moderate rime or even mixed varieties here. Mixed back out here, but very hit and miss back to the west here. Nothing too serious at all. And that'll be mostly over the southern or the northern panhandle. Tomorrow, upper low tracking northward. And again, that's a pretty sharp trough associated with this, and that's why we think the wind flow will swing around a little bit and bring a better chance of some moisture into the Cook Inlet, south central Alaska areas there from the Kenai Peninsula back to the west. And then 90 knot jet there coming up from the southeast into the panhandle. 9,000 foot wind southeasterlies 35 to 40 knots here, up to 35 to 45 knots, strongest again here right along the Alaska Range down into the Kilburk Mountains, but a little stronger here over south central Alaska than they were today, and actually extending all the way up to the Brooks Range. Northwest 30 to 50 knots behind that, and at 3,000 feet, again, good flow, this low pulling northward. A lot of snow showers will be riding in on these winds with the colder temperatures, 30 to 40 knots, taking a turn to the north here and then back around to the east and southeast, 45 knots up along the central Arctic coast, and some 40 knot winds showing up along the southern coast of the panhandle, but light right through here as that wind max lifts northward. And for turbulence, occasional severe possible here below 4,500 feet, especially earlier in the day tomorrow. By this time tomorrow, it'll be more down in this area as this lifts off and dissipates. And after the break, hangar flying, I'll be back with a look at the marine forecasts.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Harry Keeling, and on behalf of the Alaskan Aviation Safety Foundation and Alaska Public Media, welcome back to Hangar Flying. This is the third appearance for our guest this evening, Will Johnson, the third in a row. He's been on it many years ago, but Will's on the program, and he told a story about how he lost the engine in a 206 last August. And he did everything, in my estimation, did everything right. He put that airplane down, and he walked away from it. He was the only, there were no passengers, but he did what needed to be done to not save the airplane necessarily, but to save his life. And I would say, I think in the past couple of sessions, what you heard from Will was he reverted back to what he knew, the airplane, and what he needed to do to get it safely down and to survive. The Alaskan Aviation Safety Foundation has started a new approach to safety. We started emphasizing the positive. One of the ways we did this was back in November. We had a safety seminar, and we entitled it Doing the Right Thing. Our feeling was, instead of emphasizing all the bad things that some pilots do, we should really emphasize the positive and look to pilots who did the right thing. And ultimately walked away. One of these pilots was Sam Egley with Egley Air Hall. Many of you might remember last summer, he was in a helicopter on Mount Majik in Katmai, 6,500 feet. And they were facing imminent icing. But rather than take off into those conditions, Sam decided to leave it there, tie it down, and put up with whatever happened. And as it turned out, they were on that mountain for a good 48 hours. But he did the right thing, he made the right decisions, and 3 people are alive today because of it. So the Safety Foundation at the same time inaugurated a new award called the Right Stuff Award. Sam was the first recipient, and what Will doesn't know is he would have been the second recipient had he been at the seminar, had he not been stuck in Fairbanks by the weather. Back when we had the seminar, he tried his best to come down, but the conditions just weren't right. And again, he made the right decision by not pushing the weather. But what he didn't know was we had started this Right Stuff Award, and we were going to give 2 of them out. We gave one to Sam after he told his story, and we were going to give one to you and let you tell your story. But nonetheless, what I want to do is take this opportunity right now And on behalf of the Alaskan Aviation Safety Foundation and all the aviation personnel in Alaska, I want to thank you for a job well done. And I just happen to have a award here for you. So John, if you could maybe zoom in on this, or Sam, Will, hold that up and hold it up a little bit higher so we can yeah, there you go. And it says to Will Johnson, hold it up, maybe to, yeah, there you go. In recognition, appreciation for emergency preparedness and pilot proficiency. So, Will, congratulations.
Thank you.
Hopefully you'll hang that proudly in your office or your waiting area. And again, it's for doing the right thing. And two parts of that. One is the pilot proficiency that enabled you to walk away from the incident, but also being prepared by having the right gear, by having the right survival equipment. And that's a good luck story, not a good luck story. That's a good news story. And I hope our viewers out there will look to you, and if they're faced with the same type of decision, they make a similar decision. So thank you for having the right stuff.
Well, thank you. I'm humbled and honored.
Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoyed tonight's program. And I've certainly enjoyed having Will on the past 3 times to talk about his engine failure. And unfortunately, we're going to continue having engine failures. But the secret is to be able to respond appropriately. Train for that eventuality. And keep your situational awareness. But at the end of the day, worrying about bending the aluminum is not the issue. At the end of the day is saving your life and the lives of your passengers. This program, ladies and gentlemen, was brought to you by the Alaskan Aviation Safety Foundation. And as I've done before, I want to remind you it's member driven. If you like the program, you can send me an email at aasfonline@gmail.com. If there's other people you'd like to see on the program, let me know. This is your program, and we want to bring you guests like Will, who can talk about real events, and we can all learn from it. So with that, again, Will, thanks for being on the program. Congratulations on the award. It's well deserved. Ladies and gentlemen, until next time, fly safe.
Welcome back. Well, southeast winds 20 to 25 knots should cover tomorrow for the coast here out along the coastline. Seas running 7 to 10 feet. Those might be a little on the low side, but I mostly went with wind waves as opposed to combined sea heights in these forecasts. Inside waters, no problems at all, 10 to 15, maybe 20 knots, mostly east or southeast. And then for Wednesday, holding on to the southeast direction, but bringing up 30 to 35 knots. So possibility of seeing some gale force winds in along the coast on Wednesday. Still easterly 25 to the north, and east to southeast 15 to 20 over the inside waters. North Gulf Coast, again, front never really gets past about here, so in advance of it, you're going to hold on to those southeasterlies at 25 knots, 20 to 25 Prince William Sound, 25 here for Cook Inlet. Again, could even be a little stronger tomorrow morning, then all coming down in the afternoon, 10 to 15 knots. See pretty light winds all the way down across the Kodiak marine zones. And for Wednesday, turning around to the northeast, coming up to 20 knots, northern Cook Inlet, and then from the Forelands on down, 30 to 35 knots, you get into Kamishak Bay and you're back into the gales. Gale force winds here along the North Gulf Coast into the Barren Islands, and then that front will be lifting northward, so the winds, gale force winds, will be coming down to 25 knots there for the east side of Kodiak Island as well as Resurrection Bay. Bristol Bay southwest at 15, just a breeze tomorrow. Could be a little stronger late tonight, early tomorrow, but then generally most of the day southwest 15. The stronger winds will be up toward Kuskokwim Bay. Northwest 15 for the peninsula. Still maybe some, or late tomorrow, maybe coming up to 25 knots tomorrow afternoon on the Bering side of the peninsula. Then it looks like full gales here for Wednesday. East 40 knots, Sitkinak over to Sand Point, and then northeast 35 to 45 knots for the peninsula, and a big increase in the winds for Bristol Bay over what you'll see tomorrow. And for the Fox Islands, northeast 15 to 20 knots there. Switching directions, northwest 15 for the Adak-Atka area, really light here from Adak on out to Shemya. Then for Wednesday, go northeast-ish here, 20 knots for the far western zones, 15 to 20 knot northerlies become 30 to 40 knot northerlies, with the strongest winds look like they'll be blowing right into Unalaska, Dutch Harbor, and probably even Nikolsky. For the southwest coast, west to southwest, 25 knots. That's good for some brisk wind advisories there. Southwest 30 knots. Should stay under gale force here for the northern Bering Sea. Coming down to 20 knots more westerly for the Pribilofs. East 20 for St. Lawrence Island. And for Wednesday, much lighter winds everywhere here, becoming northeast, increasing to 20 knots in the afternoon for Kuskokwim Bay. Northerlies increasing to 20 for the Pribilofs. Up along the Arctic coast, east-northeast, 20 to 25 knots, all the way down to Point Hope. Easterlies 20 for the Chukchi Sea. And then may see those winds late tomorrow night or overnight tomorrow night turn westerly and kick up to 25 knots. That'll last into the early part of Wednesday, and then those will become lighter and variable in the afternoon. Otherwise, northeast 20 knots for the central coast into the brisk wind advisories. Possible gales here from the southeast as the low tracks up through there northward for the Chukchi Sea. For tonight, a couple of lows out here over the Bering Sea. Southeast winds continue. Areas of mixed precipitation. I've seen freezing rain in the forecasts. Rain, snow showers all through this area. Still got the winter warnings out for the west coast up to the western Arctic coast. Wind advisories along the Alaska Range, and the wind warning should end this evening or in the next couple hours here over Bristol Bay. So you can see the gradient definitely relaxing, shifting up to the coastline here a little bit for some gale force winds there, occasionally wet in the panhandle. For tomorrow, still periods of rain for much of the coast here all the way into the Kenai Peninsula. This will gradually pull some colder air in and drop the snow levels down over northern Cook Inlet. So question how much moisture comes in with this. The bulk of it will be back here to the west. And there's a next storm for wind and rain heavy at times along the coast on Wednesday. Have a great evening.
These forecasts are to be used for planning purposes only. Call 1-800-WX-BRIEF for a formal pre-flight briefing. Always file a flight plan before you go flying. The U.S. Coast Guard Auxiliary urges you to leave a float plan with a friend or the harbor master before you go boating. Alaska Weather is made possible by the following sponsors.
The National Weather Service.
It's never too early to set expectations and goals for your child's education. The UA College Savings Plan provides opportunities that can help you reach your educational savings goals. Save in Alaska. Study anywhere. There is more information available by calling 1-888, the number 4, and then Alaska. This message sponsored by the UA College Savings Plan.